Chapter 7. The first letter, Aleph. All Hebrew letters contain a number, a hieroglyph, a symbol, and a place. To know these in their relation to each other, and to numbers, is to hold in the hands the chart that will guide us unerringly across the ocean of ignorance into the 32 paths of wisdom. Numbers and letters, Peak 79. From the Spirit he produced air, and found in it 22 sounds. The letters, 3 are mothers, 7 are double, and 12 are simple, but the Spirit is first and above these, Sepher Yeberat. The Hebrew alphabet is composed of 22 letters, of which 3 are mother letters, 7 are double, and 12 are simple letters. The 3 mother letters are associated with the 3 elements, air, fire, and water. These elements are manifestations of the divine trinity from which all things are brought forth in the 3 worlds. The 7 double letters are associated with the 7 sacred planets and the 7-fold power of the Elohim through which the Mother Trinity must conceive. They are double because each planet has its dual aspects, positive and negative, favorable and unfavorable, benefic and malefic, and just as the astrological aspects of these planets are modified by the influences of other planets, so the double letters have a hard and soft sound according to the influence of the other letters in the words in which they appear. They are also connected with certain other powers described elsewhere. The 12 simple letters are associated with the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 months in the year, and the 12 parts of the human body. The zodiac being the circle of manifestation or the limit of the field of operation of our system, and its circumference having 12 points of contact through which the force of the sun is transmitted to Earth. The 12 signs may be compared to a gigantic switchboard through which the creative power corresponding to that generated by the 3 mothers and manipulated by the 7 doubles through the 12 simples is transmitted to Earth, under the guidance of the 7 planetary deities. According to this conception, the 12 simple letters may be looked upon as a perfect distributing apparatus for transmitting the messages of the spiritual sun. But according as these messages are interpreted by man, the receiver, are they true, helpful, and uplifting, or false, misleading, and depressing? But in considering the letters and their associations, we must not fall into the error of thinking that the letters are either the elements, the planets, or the zodiacal signs with which they are connected. The letters simply respond to the vibrations from those forces to which they are related and which they symbolize. Nevertheless, the letters, either written or spoken, awaken certain potencies and are avenues through which certain cosmic forces operate in the worlds of manifestation. The first letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Aleph, corresponding to our letter A, and its numerical value is 1. Like number 1, it expresses the outbreathing of the divine, or as the Kabbalah expresses it, soft breathing. Aleph is the first of the mother letters out of which all the others are produced. Also out of soft breathing are all the sounds expressed by the 22 letters produced. But there, the Druids, name for A, which by itself names a mountain, is Ailm, saying mountain parent the same letter is the whole name of the date called Pailm. Or the A, this one letter also names the Celtic man and makes our word First. Aleph symbolizes the breath of life as manifested in man, for God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Just as the primitive streak in the embryo forms the spinal column and makes the upright man, so must the forces whose centers lie within the spinal column be awakened, developed, and blended ere man can grasp his rod of power and become the Christ man. The physical agent through which this development is accomplished is the brain, properly directed and controlled. According to Philippus Levi, Aleph indicates the balance of universal equilibrium, the division of the day and the night, the reign of the sun and that of the moon, the approaching struggle between Cain and Abel. It is related to the angel of Mercury, represented in the tarot by the battler. The astrological symbol corresponding to Aleph is the ox, the sign Taurus in the zodiac. Some claim to find a satisfactory explanation of the origin of this letter in the head of the ox, his horns forming an inverted A, the top of his head supplying the crossbar, thus V. But this reverses the symbol. It is not more fanciful, however, to regard the lungs, through which the breath of life functions, as forming a rough letter A, with the arching diaphragm as the crossbar. But we will look for a deeper similarity, for the characteristic of the letter is more an inner quality than an outer appearance. The sign Taurus is ruled by Venus and is the first feminine sign, as Aleph is the first mother letter. Taurus is the accepted symbol of terrestrial and physical generation. The full significance of the correspondence, however, is that the brightest star of the constellation, Aldebaran, situated in the eye of Taurus, together with the constellation of the Pleiades in the neck of Taurus, in ancient Hindu chronology were the determiners used for finding the beginning of our present Iron Age or Kali Yuga. This is the cycle of man's most dense physical expression and greatest spiritual darkness, a period during which he is learning the bitterest lessons of terrestrial generation, brought about by his misuse of his creative powers. The Pleiades, the constellation in the neck of Taurus, is regarded in the Kabbalah and Eastern esotericism as the sidereal septennid born from the first manifested side of the upper triangle, the concealed A. This manifested side is Taurus, the symbol of one, the figure 1, or the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, Aleph or ox, whose synthesis is 10, or Yod, the perfect letter and number. The Pleiades, Alcyone especially, are thus considered, even in astronomy, as the central point around which our universe of fixed stars revolves, the focus from which, and into which, the divine breath, motion, works incessantly during the Manvantara. Since Aleph is the one which finds its completion in Yod, the 10, it corresponds to the alpha of the Greek alphabet, which is completed by the letter Omega. Hence, Cronus, the god time, the terrestrial expression of the One, who says, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last, I am 1 and 10, is but another expression of the outbreaking of the breath of Brahm, the Absolute, apparently swallowed up in matter, yet bringing forth all things upon the terrestrial plane. As a hieroglyph, that is, the letter considered as a sign or symbol, Aleph represents man as a collective unit, the ruler of the earth, the sign of power and stability. It carries the idea of man both as the microcosm and as the unity of the one life, synthesized in man through the breath of life. The first commandment. I am the Lord thy God, which here brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. The significance of each commandment is revealed by its number and is emphasized by the order in which it is given. Thus, in the first commandment we find that number 1, the one life and the one God, is expressed in the words, I am the Lord thy God. As we have said elsewhere, the I is the only symbol in the alphabet that stands for both deity, the straight vertical line symbolizing spirit descending into matter, and for personality. It represents the divine light sent down into the darkness of chaos, the straight and narrow path by which alone the pilgrim can emerge from the land of Egypt or the state of spiritual darkness wherein he is in bondage to King Desire. The I Am is also the Christ force, the quickening ray, by whose illumination the bonds of ignorance are broken and the soul is led into the promised land of spiritual consciousness. Therefore, we may read the first commandment thus: I, or number 1, am the law, Lord, of thy Godhood, which hath brought thee, cosmically, the chaos of unredeemed substances and forces left over from a previous period of manifestation. Individually, the soul that is responding to the divine light and treading the straight and narrow path out of the darkness of inertia and resistance to the divine. And I will ultimately lead thee out of the house of flesh and the bondage of limitation into the fullness of spiritual consciousness. Since 1 is the first of the series of numerals and the one God is the first manifestation of the divine, we can have nothing before him. Every god which man creates and tries to place before the one God must be swallowed up in the that chaos which must be redeemed in the next great day period of evolution. For nothing but not, can stand before the one. This commandment means then that we are to recognize this one God above all things and seek to become one with him, that we are to make the attainment of that oneness the chief and underlying aim of our lives, placing nothing before that one great goal. That we are to recognize the unity of all in the one God and worship him in spirit and in truth, unity. It is not what your hands are doing, but what your heart is worshiping that determines your growth. If you make business or household cares your God, you will, of necessity, retard your more rapid spiritual advance, for as long as you are worshiping a false God before the one God, your spiritual evolution is being retarded.